Welcome to GetMoving TV. I'm Dr. Chris Landon, and I serve as your host. I live out in Ojai, and I've been really looking forward to retiring there, and someday I probably will. But even in living there, there's so many things that happen around our little town. Our next-door neighbor invited me over to a little get-together to get acquainted with the Ojai Music Festival, and I met Jeff Haydon, who's here today. So, Jeff, welcome. What role do you play with the Ojai Music Festival? You and I were just chatting over hors d'oeuvres and a glass of soda water for me. So, what role do you play with the Ojai Music Festival?
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. My role is the executive director of the Ojai Music Festival. Started there in 2003 and just really enjoyed watching this entrepreneurial organization grow.
Well, the Ojai Music Festival, how many years has it been going on?
It's been going on a long time, a lot longer than I've been alive. It's going on its 65th year. It was started in 1947 by a group of very visionary people. Ojai tends to attract a lot of thinkers and creative people, and they wanted to establish an internationally recognized music event in Ojai. And back in 1947, they were very focused and decided to create the Salzburg of the West and created the Ojai Music Festival.
Well, it's kind of an eclectic festival. I met the artistic director there that night, although what happens every year, I think last year there was everything from
percussion to vocals to even electric guitars.
I think there's a Frank Zappa part too in there
Exactly.
somewhere, so it does get a little, there's always something for everybody. Tell me more about the Ojai Music Festival. Is it coming up at some point soon?
Sure. The Ojai Music Festival takes place every year, the second weekend of June, and it's exactly that. It's a creative laboratory for artists, and it's always been very eclectic. We have an artistic director, as you said, who we hire on a multi-year basis, and his number one job is to hire somebody to be an artistic partner each year, a music director. And we basically plan the entire music festival around this person's interests, skills, connections, and people.
Well, how delightful for them to have that kind of creative freedom. Who's the chosen person this year?
It is kind of like a fellowship. You're right. It is a chosen. This year's music director is Dawn Upshaw, and Dawn Upshaw is an internationally recognized vocalist. Certainly has been on the Met stage and many others, but she embodies the Ojai vision, where she's not just a performer, she's multifaceted. And so in designing the music festival, we designed it around Dawn Upshaw as the performer, Dawn Upshaw as the teacher, Dawn Upshaw as the actress, Dawn Upshaw as the advocate for new music, and Dawn Upshaw as a lover of lots of different kinds of music.
Well, it's almost like they get to have balls of fire or paintballs or something and splash them down. So how is she splashing color over the city of Ojai? And there are different venues as well, if you could.
The Ojai Music Festival, it's an immersion experience. People come up from Los Angeles, from all over the world, frankly, and spend 4 days to immerse themselves. And just as they come to Ojai to immerse themselves in the beauty and hiking and food and wine, we, the music festival, immerse ourselves into the entire town. We basically take it over for 4 days. Our home is LIBBEY Bowl down in the center of Ojai, but we take over Matilaha and a number of other venues throughout the town to be able to accommodate probably about 20 events in 4 days. Oh my goodness.
Well, I think the Ojai Bowl has been there for a while, and I'm fortunate enough where I can pretty much hear what goes on there. And it's everywhere with blues festivals, Shakespeare festivals, and but it's started to look a little dangerous there, almost like some kind of Universal Studios thrill ride where you didn't know where the stage was going to go away. Has anything happened to the LIBBEY Bowl or anything upcoming where it's maybe improving?
Absolutely. The LIBBEY Bowl has been always, words used to describe it are quaint, rustic, and charming. And while they're all lovely words, it doesn't imbibe confidence or strength or durability. And about 3 or 4 years ago, our building inspector in Ojai politely informed us that after 2010, he would likely have to condemn the LIBBEY Bowl because it was falling into such disrepair. It's a wooden structure in Ojai. It's open to the elements of sun and rain and sleet, and it finally has taken its toll. And as the name implies, it sits in a bowl itself. And most of the watershed in Ojai drains right through LIBBEY Bowl, and yet there was just one drain for 50 years to drain all that water. So about 3 years ago, a group of people came together, realizing that if they didn't do something to proactively save it, it was going to become blight. And the community came together to work with the city of Ojai, citizens and others, and raised $4 million. And completely rebuilt LIBBEY Bowl to try to evoke its aesthetic, historic use and feeling of the bowl, but also making a lot of important improvements in the bowl as well.
Usually I work with hospital projects, and generally we have about a 20-year timeline, and last time I was there was almost like a shovel-ready project, not quite ready to go, but there's been probably 6 or 9 months that have gone by, so or you'll be ready in a couple years. Is that how it's going? Or?
We will be ready in June. This has been a very fast-tracked project. It's the biggest project that the community of Ojai has produced on its own, both in fundraising and in construction. We tore the bowl down right after the Ojai Music Festival in 2010 in June, And the goal was that it would be ready for the 2011 Ojai Music Festival in June. And I was at a construction meeting on Tuesday morning, and despite the fact that it's been one of the wettest winters in Southern California's history, we are still on time to complete the project in the middle of May and take possession of it to welcome probably about 10,000 people over the course of 10 days in LIBBEY Bowl.
Well, that's a miracle all unto itself. But it's not just a physical structure, and we've talked about Dawn Upshaw and the things that she brings. What's most impressive to me, not only the $4 million that the town has raised and the donors have raised, but also there's the Bravo. We are missing so many services in our schools. We work very hard on trying to bring a healthy lunch back, and so it's not all chicken nuggets and potato chips and soda, that we really have freshly prepared food. Here we are in the salad bowl, and here we are in the salad bowl with incredible natural resources of music and creativity. How's the Ojai Music Festival Foundation supporting our local schools?
Sure. The Ojai Music Festival has been a key leader in the arts, both in Ojai and also throughout Southern California. And one of the key elements for promoting the arts is the next generation of audience and musicians and artists themselves. The schools, as you said, are under so much duress right now. The state of California has had to grab so much money from the schools. The teachers are underfunded. The programs are underfunded. And with such a strong emphasis on just standardized learning, there's very little opportunity that the schools themselves have to actually put the soul into the students that they have. And you think about elements of soul, creativity, music, art, any form of self-expression. You could be the best writer in the world, but if you have nothing to write about, if you have no visions of creativity or inspiration, you're going to be writing technical manuals the rest of your life, which is fine, but you need to have all assets. And so the Ojai Music Festival has really realized that it has a unique position in the Valley. We have relationships with a lot of artists. As you said, Ojai is a great salad bowl of resources, and not only do we grow a lot of great oranges, we grow a lot of great artists, and we have musicians that are internationally renowned, some that you'll never know their name, but they're equally as talented and interesting. And so the Ojai Music Festival hires our local musicians, and they take up residencies in the schools. And a lot of music education programs in other parts of the country and with other cultural organizations, they focus more on bus-in concerts. Bring in thousands of people, play a Beethoven symphony for them, send them home, and they're converted and they understand everything. We take a different approach. We take, just like the Ojai Music Festival, it's a very intimate experience. It's a very personal experience. And so we will actually put the artists in the classroom as a residency. They adopt a classroom per se, and they'll explore connections between what they're learning in the classroom with world history, with literature, with science, and bring those elements out in their education with music. We'll put instruments in students' hands, give them their first chance to blow in a flute or a trumpet, hit a tom-tom, and make that connection for them to explore their interests and explore their creativity in what music programs still do exist in the schools today. And we're very strong advocates for promoting music education in the schools. You look, it's no coincidence that most of the strong students in a school, the valedictorians, the ones that go off to four-year colleges, take leadership roles, most of them are involved in some form of arts program because they develop those skills. In there, they develop those skills of leadership, public speaking, confidence, and it's wonderful to watch these unfold. We do give them opportunities to perform for themselves. We do have a bus-in concert where the students themselves will perform for each other, and you'll get a third grader out in the audience watching their older brother or sister or their neighbor down the street performing and realizing, gee, I can do that in a couple of years. I know how to do that. I want to do that. And then you'll get their artist that's in residence in the classroom. They'll perform as well and see a whole other side, a professional side of them. But to me, the most important aspect of music education is not the music. It's that outlet for the creative expression. The Ojai Music Festival has long been known as trying to lead creative expression to try to give people an opportunity to hear something that they haven't had a chance to hear before. We need to do that with our students. We need to do that with our audience. And just continuing with the Ojai Music Festival for a minute along that line, audience members when they first come to the Ojai Music Festival, they don't always necessarily know all the pieces that are going to be performed and understand all of them. But as they sit and they listen, they sit next to other artists who are performing in other programs. They get a chance to go to symposium, to learn more about the music itself. There's a stretching of the imagination. There's a stretching of thought. Somebody said, the Ojai Music Festival, it makes you think. And I think if we can promote constructive thinking with youth, promote creative thinking with adults, we're helping to make the world a better place.
I think it is the creative experience. I mean, but it's also, it's not just a thinking festival too. I think Tchaikovsky had a little scherzo there, as French governess, a little simple song, and it was really all about to amuse oneself, one must sing and laugh and dance, and so it's a joyful festival as well. What kind of joyful things? I know there's some simpler things at the church in terms of learning how to use a dulcimer or other instruments. What kinds of simple things are planned? Are there any audience kind of hands-on things planned?
As you said, the Ojai Music Festival is very eclectic and wide-ranging, and music makes you think. It's very emotional, it's very personal, and it's all of those things combined in the setting. And music, a lot of times these days, is being consumed individually, just on iPods or whatnot. And that collective experience of experiencing music with a group of people is incredibly powerful, and it's something that we're losing track of. We're becoming personal curators of our own music rather than being open to what's out in the world around. And so this year there's quite a wide range. We have, as I mentioned before, you have Dawn Upshaw bringing her students and hearing them perform some Mozart and a number of other well-known opera pieces. You have Maria Schneider, who's a great jazz artist. Here's the lady who has bucked the trend in jazz and really taken the mantle and said, there is a lot of interesting material to explore that is still yet to be written in jazz, and really think about jazz as far as a color palette as well and a texture palette. And I can't think of a more beautiful place to do that than in Ojai. So here you have an opportunity to hear jazz in Ojai. We have a wonderful violinist, Richard Todnietti, who has taken both visions from the past when a small chamber group would just stand and play and actually sway with the music. And he has trained his group to memorize the music, to stand and perform it. It's a very moving experience. And he himself is a phenomenal violinist and will be performing anything from a Beethoven violin sonata to some works that he actually wrote himself and adapted to himself. And one other element that I think people will be really interested in is music doesn't happen in a vacuum. Art doesn't happen in a vacuum. Art is both a product of the society in which we live and and also leads thought within the society in which it lives. So it's a two-way interaction. And sometimes you can't distinguish which is happening to which. Verdi arguably started the Italian Revolution with his opera. But this year, Dawn Upshaw is a very close friend and collaborator with the internationally renowned stage director Peter Sellers. And Peter Sellers, probably one of the shorter people you'll meet and probably the most enthusiastic person you will ever meet and the most visionary person you'll ever meet. And he has been actually in the process of going around the country with a number of debuts over the last several months and staging operas and other works within a modern-day context. He's become very famous for that over the last 20, 30 years, and he has been doing that quite a bit about making us think about the world in which we live in and our relationship with the Middle East. And so he is actually directing and putting together a world premiere of a stage direction piece on Friday night, and actually is pulling it in relationship with our work in Afghanistan right now, and the horrors and the victories of war and what that means. So, that'll be very emotional. No, it won't be light, but there will be a lot of familiar tunes, and I think it will be a historic moment for the area. So as you can see, you've got jazz, you have violin, you have the stage production, you have students, you have symposium, and yes, a lot of good conversation, wine, and food in a beautiful setting.
Well, the other thing, I was talking with Keith Jarrett once, and he just said, okay, here's 88 keys. Every song that's ever written is sitting inside that piano. But the other piece is just the emotional piece, too. And we've had a guest on who goes to homes for the elderly, and as he's doing his karaoke show, people relate back to that. And so you're providing an emotional experience. And I think you're exactly right. It's got to be performed in a group so that there's that collective emotion you're not getting with two earbuds stuck in your ear there. So where do you see the Ojai Festival going? You've got a new building, and how about next year? What kinds of things you're looking forward to as we're focused in on this year? And
sure.
So you with fundraising, what's your next goal? What kinds of things are in the future for the festival?
Sure. Well, the Ojai Music Festival is just like the music itself on the stage. It's very entrepreneurial and very creative, and every single year is completely different. That's the one thing that's constant, is it's always different. You always know that you're going to get the highest quality music. You always know you're going to get something that you're going to like, that's going to surprise you. You're going to be surprised by how you react to some other pieces. And this year, obviously, we're focusing on a lot of American with Peter Sellers and Dawn Upshaw and Maria Schneider. In 2012, we'll be looking ahead to Leif Ove Ansnes, who's a wonderful pianist from Norway. And he'll be bringing his chamber group, Norwegian Chamber Ensemble, and exploring a completely different side of repertoire. Just as you said, there are 88 keys on a piano and all the songs are written on it. The world of music and creativity is it's like a tree, an oak tree. And you've got all these wonderful branches in which to explore. And the wonderful thing in Ojai is that we're finding those new branches that are just starting to bud, and you get to see them when they first pop out, and then again a little bit later on as they start to grow and develop.
Well, the thing you were talking about, just what a wonderful experience Ojai is. Are you, in terms of restaurants and the availability of housing, and how do people access that? Is there a central resource, a website that we can let our audience know about?
Sure. The Ojai Music Festival is an immersion experience, and we want to curate your entire experience. And we realize that it's a destination for most people. And so we actually have a concierge who arranges hotels, arranges dinner reservations, tickets, and it really ends up becoming an outing for everybody involved.
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate everything you brought. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Sure. I just want to extend a real warm welcome to everybody in the county here and throughout California to come to Ojai, to leave their daily life behind, be infused with music, find the emotion that's in it, to be provoked to think about something that you haven't thought of, to enjoy the historic moment of the new LIBBEY Bowl opening up with evening of tangos and South American music, and one of the best parties you'll ever see in our lifetime in Ojai, and to come the next day on June 5th for our Day of Music, in which all the artists in Ojai will come and perform for free on the stage in Ojai and give you a taste as to the incredible talent that just lives right here next door to each one of us. And then, of course, to the Ojai Music Festival to see Dawn Upshaw, Peter Sellers, and Maria Schneider.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for letting us know about this. And Ventura, obviously, you need to get moving to Ojai. You need to get in the hotels. You need to bring your family. You need to really acquire the emotional and spiritual experience that great music can give us. So, Ojai, here we come. Ventura is going to get moving.